And we continue on. Blessed to be part of your day. Julie Lindy joining us from the Family Policy Alliance. Always good to get a good update on the legislature from the people that make it happen, from the watchdogs. So good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. It's great to be with you again.
So what is going on in the legislature? We got all these bills going on. We were talking off there, the sex ed bill, a pornography bill, Planned Parenthood being funded by the state bill, as David Ripley told us on Friday. I thought you were supposed to keep an eye on all this.
You know what? It's really crazy. This has been one of those years where stuff pops up and then it crashes to the ground and you think it's over and then it pops up again. It's almost surreal. So we're excited because Brittany Jones from Family Policy Alliance in Colorado Springs is with us, and she's one of the attorneys there that has helped us vet some of this and get talking points on some of this. That sex ed bill was really a heavy lift in terms of getting it stopped. And it was so dangerous for parental rights. It was so dangerous for children, and it totally undermined the value of the family. And then we've got the abortion pill reversal bill that is going to be heard this Wednesday, and that's an extremely important bill, as well as there is a bill on complications, reporting complications from abortions. That's an important bill. That'll be heard hopefully sometime this week. And then we're looking at this bill that seeks to fund Planned Parenthood that David talked about on Friday. And we just sit and scratch our heads and wonder what happened in our legislature.
Well, and that's the irony, I believe, that you have this Republican-dominated state, but then you have these progressive liberal bills that seem to find their way out of committee, right. And then you have conservative bills that can't get a hearing. So as someone, and again, I know you've got to work with these folks, I mean, really, what's going on? How conservative, how culturally red are we?
Kevin, I don't have an answer for that anymore.
I think you have an answer for it.
Well, you know what? We're still fighting the good fight, and I think that there is a good chance that this funding of Planned Parenthood, which really is what that bill is, they're trying to make it look like they are working with the GAP population and helping the GAP population out. But when it's all said and done, since the Trump administration has really worked to defund certain aspects of what Planned Parenthood gets, we think this is just Planned Parenthood trying to recoup some losses they're seeing. And, you know, they just filed a suit against the Trump administration on this. So we think we're making some headway in this. I think if I were to extend some grace to the legislators, I think what they were trying to do was work with the GAP population. And I think the other thing that happened is that...
So they're either incompetent or complicit. My words, not yours.
I was going to say, those are your words, Kevin. I'm going down there this morning. So
I understand.
But what they have done is, and some of the pro-life legislators, this is what's very confusing. Just yesterday, one of them said, look, Plan B and Ella are preconception medications. Well, yes, they are. They're defined as contraceptives, preconception, but they are also post-conception. And if we believe life begins at conception, that's an abortifacient. So, and even Planned Parenthood will define it as that. So, seriously, this is a bill to fund an organization that is willing to not only kill babies, but as we've seen in the past, market their body parts.
Indeed. Our great friend Julie Lindy joining us here. Talk a little bit about the legislature. Brittany Jones is with us. She's an attorney as well in town to talk about this from the Family Policy Alliance. From Colorado Springs, good morning.
Good morning.
So what brings you to Idaho?
Well, I'm in Idaho to work with Julie and work at getting some of these pro-life bills passed through the legislature. Specifically, I'll be testifying for the abortion pill reversal tomorrow morning, which is in the State Affairs Committee of the House. Well, when people are tuning in today at KIDO Talk Radio, why is that significant? It's significant because a chemical abortion, which is an abortion by pill, is the largest or the fastest growing way or method of abortion since the year 2000. Mm-hmm. And this is especially true in Idaho. Over 40% of abortions in Idaho are done via abortion pill, which is done in the privacy of a woman's home. She doesn't have any medical personnel with her. There are many complications that can arise from this sort of abortion, and women aren't told that there's another option. And so the two bills that will be heard tomorrow is an abortion pill reversal, which would require that an abortionist let a woman know that there is option for her to take a pill that could help reverse her abortion once it's begun.
Right.
And then there's another bill, which is the abortion complication report bill, that would require abortionists to let the state of Idaho and all Idahoans know when there have been a complication from a chemical abortion.
Which that isn't reported right now.
Correct.
Now, you're from Colorado. At one time, pretty red state.
Yes.
Not so much anymore.
Not at all.
So what happened to Colorado, and could that happen to Idaho?
It could happen to any state if we're not vigilant. We've seen a lot of states that were red 10 to 15 years ago that have turned purple or blue, and that is very concerning. And so it's up to the everyday citizen to educate themselves and educate their friends about good policy, and to then push their legislators to ensure that Idaho and every state in the union stays conservative.
Well, I heard from my friend Tom Tancredo that basically a couple big money libs came in, spent a bunch of money, and just flipped your state.
That is probably true. I haven't been in Colorado very long, so
Right.
I'm not sure of the specifics.
That could happen here,
but it could
Julie.
happen anywhere.
It could happen here.
We see that with all the people moving in, and a lot of people that have fled the libs, but the libs are following.
That's right, Kevin. And Brittany is correct. We have to stay vigilant. And that's one reason that Family Policy Alliance of Idaho is in existence. We want our state to be a state where God is honored, religious freedom flourishes, families thrive, and life is cherished. And if all of us, everybody sitting in the chairs right now, if we're all not vigilant, we will go the way of California, Washington, Oregon, and what has happened in Colorado. And we can't afford to do that. This is a great place. For instance, this abortion pill reversal bill is such a simple piece of legislation, and it makes so much sense. And for the life of me, I can't understand why anybody who is even pro-choice would be against allowing a woman to change her choice. It's mind-boggling the lengths at which the left will go, and so we do have to remain vigilant.
Well, we have a lot of folks that are adamantly pro-life. Governor Otter, pro-life. David Ripley will give him credit for that all the time, and that's good enough for me. You have Chuck Winder, who has been vilified nationally by the left for standing up for the right to life. So how does this happen where we have trouble, getting this pro-life legislation through? It should be a no-brainer. And then we have the funding of Planned Parenthood. Again, I understand there's confusion, but, that's why you elect people to represent yourself, to represent your values. Could we be seeing a change of values here in the Gem State? I mean, people talk about that Ada County now has become competitive between Republicans and Democrats with this influx of people. Could we see more of a progressive agenda coming in?
Kevin, I think anything's possible. And once again, that is why people who maintain traditional family values, who are strong conservatives, who are Christians, who have a moral compass and an ethical basis, that's why we need to stand up. I think a lot has happened recently, and the historic church silence has got to stop. The church has got to speak up. I believe the answer to all of this is in the pews. And we have to be informed. We have to be good stewards of what's going on in our state. So the scenario you present is not really hypothetical, and it's something that that we could be staring at quite readily. In fact, I don't think any district in Boise has a Republican elected to the legislature, and the same with the other college towns. And also Pocatello is very. It's quite a dicey district. If you're a Republican in Pocatello, you really have to fight for your existence there.
Which is pretty shocking considering how conservative the values are.
Yes. That's the disconnect that is so difficult for us. And so when you say that it should be a pretty easy lift or it's a no-brainer, we thought that for years on a lot of legislation. And every time we brought forward something that was really a no-brainer, the fight was just tooth and nail. And it was, David would describe them often as bloodbath, and often our pro-life battles have been that. The right to protect marriage, the right to protect women's privacy, for crying out loud, the right to protect just the knowledge, the biological truth that there are men and women, period. That just blows my mind. You'd think that's a no-brainer, but in this day and age it isn't. So I'm calling on people to stand up and be informed and to make their voice heard.
Well, it goes back to, there are absolutes and then there's moral relativism. And we see moral relativism throughout this area now.
Exactly, we do. And that's the culture. And so when, for instance, the college student who was advancing that sex ed bill stands up and says the reason that teens are getting pregnant multiple times is because there's not enough good sex education, I just want to look at her and say, have you looked at other things that could be in play here? For instance, if a girl's 15 and gets pregnant twice, you'd think the second time she's got a clue of what's going on. And so can you fault the education system? I don't think so.
Well, and by the way, and we know this in our travels and our almost 9 years of being here at KIDO Talk Radio, that happens quite a bit, not only throughout the state, but here in the Treasure Valley, where you have multiple teen pregnancies, and thankfully most of these girls that I know of, you have places where they go and they go to school with their babies and such.
Yes, and that's a wonderful service, but we need to do more for them, and teaching them about contraception, et cetera, or how to have an abortion is completely the wrong way to go. We don't have a policy at Family Policy Alliance on contraception. That's not our issue. Our issue is abortion and also this dangerous sex ed, comprehensive sex ed. And when you go back to this abortion pill reversal, if you look at the state of mind of a woman who has said, okay, I took this pill and now I wish I hadn't, I don't understand why anybody would deny her that chance to change her mind.
I agree with you, but I think, and like I said, Julie, people kind of laugh at me when the first thing they ask is, they say, well, how you doing? I go, still employed. And the reason why is because what we do here is so unique, because we listen and we give people voices. Mm-hmm. Mainstream traditional Christian voices. Okay, those outlets are going away, being replaced by, I was watching HBO, and it's impossible to watch popular culture these days without abortion being pushed. There's an episode of a program with Dwayne Johnson, Ballers, where he has relations with a woman, and there's a problem, and she just takes a pill. It has nothing to do with the premise of the show, which is about athletes and marketing. Okay, another show on Netflix where and I'm telling a little bit about my viewing habits here, about the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. And again, I love that show back in the day because it was about marketing and such. It was a little campy, but you had a woman who got pregnant and had an abortion. It's almost like going to the restaurant here. They're making it normal and without any thoughts of the consequences that procedure happens, the side effects and people that are impacted by the rest of their lives. That's what we're up against. Exactly.
And I am so grateful for the Kevin Miller Show in the morning, because you are the only outlet really for the conservative voice. And when you look at even things like the Academy Awards, which most of us didn't watch, but they honored Cecile Richards, who's presided over the deaths of tens of millions of American children, most of them minorities, by the way. Yet Hollywood, in its propaganda push, will honor her. And it's getting to where, as you were talking, I kept thinking of Heinrich Himmler in Nazi culture, because the propaganda is what turns people, and the media has become not a news source or an entertainment source, but rather a source of propaganda.
Well, and then people like you and Brittany are vilified. I always love bringing attention. I wish I didn't have to, that if you speak your mind, you're targeted. People say things, they put it on social media. The left doesn't want a discussion. They want to quell any dissent on this issue.
Right, exactly. That's why I wanted Brittany to come and meet you and hear your show and get acquainted with you and your audience, because this is really important. And I think the message that we've talked about in the past and that Brittany and I have talked about is that Christians and conservatives cannot allow themselves to be silenced, demonized, or shamed. I don't care. I mean, I care, but I don't care if social media says stuff and it's daunting to be attacked.
Right.
But it shouldn't silence us, and that's the goal of the attacks. Really, is to cause fear and as a form of terrorism.
And we see that all the time. Brittany, what are your thoughts?
Well, that's something that I've experienced as I've become involved in this movement over the last several years, and you recognize that those attacks are coming from a place of fear and of anger, and they will call you out from behind their computer screens, but they are really they're they're really scared. And they recognize the power of the movement, and they recognize the truth of conservatism, and the only way they know is to lash out. And so to me, when I get attacked on social media or whatever, it actually encourages me, and it pushes me to keep moving forward, because I know if they're that scared, then I'm doing something right.
Sure. Julie, one more time, what would you like people to do today?
I would like people to continue to stay tuned to the legislature and see what's going on, to pay attention to these pieces of legislation. Senate Bill 1243 is the abortion pill reversal bill. House Bill 56, I'm blanking on David's bill, 568 or 563 is the abortion complication bill. Those are really important. No, David's is 638, and the Planned Parenthood one is 53 something. It's hard to keep it all straight, and that's why people need to go to the website. I don't have the website sitting in front of me here, so if people would go to the website and pay attention and know who their legislators are, introduce yourself, take a minute to send a note. If it's a thank you note, send it. If it's a please vote a certain way note, send it. We need to be engaged, and we need to let people in our churches know that they need to be engaged as well. This is an important thing. It's gonna reverberate for generations, and we need to think long term.
Well, thank you both for coming in.
Thanks, Kevin. It's always an honor to be on your show and to talk with you.
No, thank you all for what you do.
Appreciate you having us.
You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. No, I'm good. Thank you all. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's go to Walt in Nampa. Walt, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning. I talked to my state senator last week, Thursday or Friday, Hagendorm, and Senate Bill 1313, which is a clarification of the Stand Your Ground statute that we have now. And it's passed the Senate. It's in the House. And I asked him, I said, what do you think? And he says, maybe. And I said, well, how about the governor? Is he going to sign it or what? We don't know. Because in the past, he has vetoed a bill similar or somewhat like this. So anyway, we need to call our state representatives in your area and put the pressure on. We want this thing passed. SB 1313. So if some guy, you wake up some night in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., and hear some guy standing over your bed with a knife in his hand, you can, protect yourself. You don't have to worry about, is the lawyer going to get me? Is the police going to get me? Is this guy really going to do something serious? And it also covers I don't know if everybody's read it or not, but you really need to read it. It's a very interesting clarification, and it's on the Internet. And it clarifies several points that could get you into trouble if you protect yourself. So anyway, call your representative and get it going.
Walt, sorry it took so long to get to you. Thanks for your patience.
That's all right. We love you, whether even if we have to wait for you.
Well, no, I know what it's like to wait, so I'm very sensitive to that. But, that's very important. And these folks want to be in office, so they need to make the tough choices. And the people want the Castle Doctrine, they should pass it. And, let the governor veto it, and then let them have a chance to override the veto.
Well, hopefully, they didn't override it last time. So I'm not getting too excited about the whole thing. Yes, I'd like to see it passed, but I'm not holding my breath. Because we got a lot of people that are just panic-stricken over this sort of thing. You're going to shoot somebody? Come on, folks. It's better than being shot.
That's what I don't get is the whole and look, I am far from a tough guy, but you should have the right, the ability to shoot someone to protect yourself and your family without being prosecuted by the state, without being subject to frivolous lawsuits. I have a friend of mine, his brother shot an intruder, and the guy's suing him. The guy broke into his house.
Yep. You can do that. Because the way the law is written, the law as present is written, you have to prove that you are in fear of your life or injury to your family or yourself. Now, how are you going to do that? Maybe if the guy shot at you, you got a bullet hole in you, you can prove it. But, you're going to go to court. His lawyer's going to call. His family's going to instigate a lawsuit. We already have one, I think, going on right now.
Yeah.
Where, anyway, I don't want to get into that because I don't know enough about it.
Well,
but the point is, we need the ability to take care of ourselves and protect ourselves.
Well,
Yeah, I'm in my 80s,
right.
and I'd like to know that I'm going to make at least my mid-80s without some turkey who's high on something wanting some money.
Right. Well, good point. Traffic and weather together. Our time. And I apologize to our friend Pro Life. Pro Life, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Sorry about the wait.
Oh, that's all right. I told Ray I was going to talk about the Castle Doctrine, and there's always problems with the Castle Doctrine because you cannot write legislation to take care of every situation. And in the Castle Doctrine, I think that the person that's going to harm someone else needs to be warned. And so if you don't put that in there, that you need to warn the person, say like somebody comes in your house, and it might be the neighbor who's drunk and he thinks he's in his own house, and so you shoot him dead without asking him, who is this, warn him some way, and I say that's negligent. And you can't write that in there, so juries have to just do that, and so the Castle Doctrine is always problematic.
I totally disagree with you on that. If someone comes into my house or your house, they've taken their life into their own hands, and you've got to protect yourself. If they've made a call, then I'm sorry. But the idea that we have to have rules of engagement in our own homes is quite preposterous, in my opinion. Now, you and I can agree to disagree, but...
Well, I have rules of engagement. I'm not going to take somebody's life unless I really need to. I mean, if I can get away with killing somebody inside my house, no questions asked, that's not really right. That a person's conscience could suffer from that, but he might not suffer from the law. But anyway, I'm glad you had. I just want to go on to the next subject. Bethany and Julie were there, and that's very good. Birth control pills are an abortifacient. In other words, they murder the baby because sperm can meet egg. And when you take a birth control pill, it tells your body that you're already pregnant, so you can't have a pregnancy on top of another. So that baby dies of starvation. It can't implant and get nourishment. And the whole pro-life movement does not talk about that. I don't know why they shy away from it. Maybe because there's so many people using birth control pills, they don't want to tell the whole world that, hey, you're murdering your baby, because, women taking birth control pills probably 2 or 3 times a year they don't even know that they have a pregnancy but can't implant, and so the baby dies. That's a murder by abortion in my mind, and people don't like to use the word murder in conjunction with abortion, but that's exactly what's happening. And so we have a big problem with education, even within the pro-life movement. So that's I've probably taken enough time here, but I'm very appreciative of your program having all these subjects on there.
Well, you won't hear that from your friends when we talk about protecting life now, will you?
I won't hear what from my friends?
You won't hear the pro-life message now, will you?
From my friends? Yeah, some of them I do.
No, from your friends when you make your multiple media appearances.
Oh, no, they try to scoot it under the rug. The other radio stations, they don't really want to listen like you do and let someone like myself tell the truth about really what's happening. And if life is not precious, no other subject will ever be right. If we can't protect the little babies from the time of conception, or fertilization should be the actual word, because the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists have redefined conception as implantation. That's one of the problems.
Okay, Pro-Life, thank you for the call.
All right.
You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good.
The only contributor to the program that has her own theme song. Tanya J. Powers joining us from Fox News Radio. Remember, when you hear Fox News here in the Treasure Valley on the radio, you're listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, not everybody has their own theme song. You're the only one.
I feel really privileged.
Well, Ray and Maya must like you, so.
Well, Ray and I, we're buddies. We get along. I mean, I get to talk to him and I get to talk to you. I mean,
I like that. I'm not going to be overly sensitive. I like that we're buddies. We get along. I won't read into that, but a lot of folks are reading into what's going on in Texas. My goodness gracious, what's happening there?
Well, the voters in Texas are going to the polls today for the first of the primaries for the 2018 midterms. Can you believe we're already here?
Amazing.
They have a whole bunch of things to vote for. First of all, there's a governor, obviously. Greg Abbott wants to keep the seat, so he's also running, but he's got some competition. There's a U.S. Senate seat, of course. Ted Cruz has that seat now. He is being challenged. Beto O'Rourke is the person on the Democrat side, but like I said, this is a primary. Then you've got all 36 congressional districts, and some of those categories have a whole bunch of folks running. I think one of them has 18 people in one of the on one of the sides, and a lot of these, it's probable that there's going to be several runoffs in May because of the sheer number of people who are running for office for some of those seats. You've also got land commissioner, and that's where Jeb Bush's son, George P. Bush, comes in. He is the incumbent land commissioner. Otherwise, I don't know why we'd be talking about land commissioner in Texas, but he's also being challenged by a former land commissioner. So that could be interesting to watch as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Add to that the fact that the early voting, which ended last Friday, there was a lot more Democrats than Republicans that cast ballots in early voting, which has a lot of people kind of going, well, wait a minute, wonder what's going to happen during the primaries. And, the generals later on this year, is that going to see something that is more sustained, or did everybody just get out and early vote, and will it slack off? Will the enthusiasm gap not hold, which is, I guarantee you, one of those terms we're going to hear a lot this year.
I'm sure we've also heard the term, but this is Texas.
True, it is. And remember, this is a state where a Democrat has not won a statewide election in Texas since 1994. So it's not like, oh my goodness, it's going to be purple or blue, or that's not, I don't think, what most people are saying. I think the fact that it is, that it has, like I said, the Democrats have outpaced the Republicans in early voting. I think that is kind of significant, the fact that, a lot of people are getting out to cast their ballots early.
So let's go over the names. Any preliminary reports on how Governor Abbott will do? It's kind of strange that you have a governor in Texas having a primary challenge.
Yeah, it is. That's going to be one of those to watch, obviously. Hang on, let me see how many people are in that one, because like I said, there are some doozies in these races. He is being challenged by the former Dallas County Sheriff, who is also facing off against one of the businessman and several other people, to hopefully challenge. They hope they can challenge Greg Abbott. I think the other district that is being watched a lot is that 7th district, which is outside Houston. This is interesting because in that seat now is a GOP Representative John Culberson. The Democrats have actually attacked one of their own candidates who is a progressive over this in the challenge. It has shaken up things. The infighting has been quite stunning to watch. And again, this may be another one of those things we've seen in the Democratic Party with like Hillary and Bernie. With a more progressive side. And like I said, this has kind of been really interesting to watch so far, just on that 7th district. I mean, Laura Moser is the Democrat that they attacked, and she is known for her anti-Trump resistance, work, basically. In 2014, this is when they decided that this might not be the best person for the Democrat in the primary here, when they found a 2014 op-ed that she had written saying, quote, she would sooner have my teeth pulled out without anesthesia than to move to a family ranch in Paris, Texas. Apparently didn't go over well with some of the Democrats, and but well, yeah, never a dull moment in politics, man.
Or in Texas.
No, this one's, like I said, 36 congressional districts. I mean, and there's a lot to wade through if you're, I guess, looking at the political landscape in Texas and how people are voting and which way things could go.
Tanya J. Powers, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right. Our great friend Tanya J. Powers, Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Let's go to our friend Tea Party Robert on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today? Great show, by the way.
Boy, it's been such a barn burner. We haven't even gotten to the controversy concerning what happened with the CBD oils. Just amazing.
You've been tearing up the political turf this morning.
Boy, it's just amazing when you take a look at this. So for people that are just tuning in, so a proposal to legalize oil extracted from cannabis is likely dead for the year after a group of lawmakers on Monday broke out in turmoil during a last-minute attempt to advance the bill. This is from the Associated Press. You've got Senator Potts asking the Senate Health and Welfare Committee to give HB 577 a hearing. Now, whether you agree with it or not, give the bill a hearing. So apparently again, Idaho is seeking to use the oil for medical purposes for themselves or minor children. So Potts defended the motion. So then you have Chairman, Lee Hyder?
Lee Hyder, yes.
Lee Hyder.
Ever see his voting record?
Well, he smashes the gavel down. If anyone on this committee wants to talk about this, they can do it in my office. They go there. Hyder denied a request by the AP who followed to sit in on the meeting, which is against the Sunshine Law, apparently. And they overheard him. I mean, this guy's got to be a dope because they have the door shut and they're yelling. Apparently yelling's going on. Quote, the governor's, well, let me finish. The governor's office doesn't want this bill. The prosecutors don't want this bill. The Office on Drug Policy doesn't want this bill, Hyder said, who could be heard shouting to his members by the AP on the other side of the door. Now, you have the floor.
You know, Hyder is probably one of the worst people to have on this committee. He has more damn bills stuffed in his drawers than you can shake a stick at. And he's been doing it for years. And the only reason he's doing it with this bill is because the governor doesn't want it passed. Take a look at who's getting the money from the pharmacies and from the medical people and from the insurance companies. And you'll find out why they don't want this to go through. There's big money involved here. Most people don't understand it. You know, you take a look at what we have running for governor, the people we have running for governor. We only have two, really, Alquist and Labrador, because Little is nothing more than a vote for Butch Otter as a clone. The only one you're going to get any change from is probably going to be Labrador, because he's willing to come in there and fire all the bureaucracy heads and make them ask for their jobs back. You know, Alquist is going to collect data for 4 years, and we're going to be in the same situation we are now. I don't see anything happening there. Plus that, I don't like all of the background that he has with the liberals like Bob Costra, Dave Beater, and A.J. Belukoff. It's just too deep as far as I'm concerned. But when you look at Governor Otter, we should actually change his name to Governor Weasel for the way he has manipulated the leadership in a legislature. If you want to know why the cronies have all of these bills stuffed in their drawers, you need look no further than to who's paying the bills. You know, CBD oil should certainly get a hearing. You're going to get, these people are going to give $29 million for more abortions and kill more babies, but they won't pass a bill or give it a hearing on something that's going to be beneficial to well over 3,000 individuals in Idaho who need this CBD oil. And we know it's effective. We know it's efficacious. We know it's reasonable. No, they're going to go with the drug companies once again. You know, it's gotten to the point now that why do we keep voting the same people in? Their voting records are not conservative. They're terrible. Mortimer and Hyder are running neck and neck for the worst voters in the Senate. It's time that the people here wake up. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and get a different result. You have to stop doing it. And you have to start electing legislators that are going to work for the public, not the drug lobbyists and the medical mafia. I, for one, am sick and tired of this stuff. And if people don't wake up, maybe it's time for a lot of us to get out of Dodge, move out of this place, because I think you're going to be right. If this keeps happening, we are going to be so liberal, nobody's going to want to live here, including the Californians. Where are they going to go next?
Well, here's the other one. How embarrassing that these guys were caught.
Oh, listen. You know, this has been going on for 2 years in the legislature, even more because we have gotten more conservatives, strong conservatives, in there. This is like the congressional conservative group back in Washington. These are the only people fighting for the rights of the people. Why do we keep electing the other clowns? You know,
well,
it's like
here's the other one. The reporter, and you know, I don't know if it was a member of the Idaho Press Club, actually warned the committee saying, you're breaking the open meetings law. You're breaking the law. So we have lawmakers possibly breaking the state's open meeting law in the state legislature. Who do you turn those folks into?
Well, you see, that's the problem, because the leadership, they're all a bunch of fence sitters. They don't know what the heck to do. And if they're going to do anything, they're going to side on the way the governor wants it done. That governor has so darn much control over these people. It's unbelievable. He should have been gone in the last election. Unfortunately, we couldn't get rid of him. Now we got a better mousetrap. He can't run again. He's not going to run again. We need to elect somebody who's going to help us, the people, not the cronies. I'm tired of seeing my money go out to these crony guys who take it and waste it instead of people who are actually trying to help us. So when you go to the polls, people, please know who you're voting for and stop this terrible pattern we have of electing the worst of the worst every single election. That's all I have to say, Kevin.
You saved up for that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. More of your calls next on CBD Oils, the state legislature, and a former Trump associate. Well, he has a lot to say, and it's gone viral. You'll hear from him next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to Kevin in Caldwell. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. Hey, boy, Tea Party Bob was dead on this thing. I don't care what the issue was. This is just so in the face of the constituents of Idaho with what this Hyder guy did yesterday. I mean, last year we had a North Idaho legislator that just voiced her opinion on something and was stripped of her committeeships and all that. I mean, there's got to be something that we as Idahoans can do to see that this man is either booted from his office. I mean, he was warned that he was breaking the law. He knows what the law is. He knows what the rules are, and he did it anyway. And he knows exactly what he was doing, but I'd say that we need to demand on the head of the Senate that this guy is stripped of his position for sure. But I actually think that maybe we can go into some sort of legal action to have this guy removed from the legislator's seat. Have the governor appoint somebody else. It's the same thing anyway.
Well, if he's protecting the interest of the governor, that's not going to happen.
Well, the governor would have to appoint somebody. We kick him out. We get him booted out for breaking the law. I mean, this law is put in there for the public, and he broke that blatantly. And I'd say he should lose his position as a legislator, or maybe whatever there's got to be some teeth in that law. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to start researching it, and I hope other Idahoans do too. I hope this guy, we can't vote against him here in the Fraser Valley. We can't vote for that guy or vote against him, but we sure ought to be able to do something to see that he is punished for what he did. We shouldn't just let it fly.
Well, Kev, keep us informed on your research, and we'd be happy to help you.
I'll be digging. Thank you.
Thank you, Kev. Traffic and weather together. It is
Sam, I have to ask you one other thing.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's an awkward question to ask, but, you know, I've interviewed you before. You're sitting very close to me.
Yes.
We talked earlier about what people in the White House were saying about you.
Yeah.
Talking about whether you were drinking or on drugs or whatever they had happened today. Talking to you,
yeah.
I have smelled alcohol on your breath.
Well, I have not had a drink.
Anything else?
No.
No.
No. Besides my meds.
Okay.
Antidepressants. Is that okay?
Here we have Sam Nunberg, former Trump associate, saying to Robert Mueller, come out and get me.
I'm the first person to go out here and say I'm not cooperating.
The idea that, once again, that Donald Trump colluded with Russia is a joke.
And that'll be the last word. Thank you all for joining us. Ray Amaya, outstanding show as always. Appreciate your work. Remember, Columbia High School on Thursday, thanks to Cap Ed and Team Maz de Suru. May God bless you and your family, and keep the faith.